Howdy.
What's up?
How's it going, guys?
Going well.
Good.
I'm not vegan, but I have like no interest in proving you wrong.
Very
I really
nice.
don't. I'm just tolerant. You
Yeah.
know? You
Yeah.
know, it's like, so I just wanted to check it out,
Right on.
see what you're doing.
So, what do you think would be a big obstacle for you in going vegan?
Great question. God, you know, here's the thing, right? The sympathetic argument doesn't work with me for a lot of reasons. Like, okay, animals are cute, don't kill them, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really, like, I don't really care about that so much. That
Okay.
means anything to me. Like, I'm okay with hunting to some extent and all this. But the obstacle I have with being a vegan is really one of practicality, right? If I can find really good sources of tasty protein that were kind of easy to get, and I have two small children and all that stuff, I'd probably strongly consider it. I don't have a problem with vegans per se.
Totally, yeah. That's good.
There's the old adage, like, people tend to, like, there's a few things people tend to tell you within the first 5 minutes of you meeting them, whether they're vegan, Jewish, or engaged.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. How do you know if you meet a vegan? They'll tell you.
They'll tell you, like, instantly.
Right.
But that's just
Okay.
That's just
I totally
that's just
hear
a
you.
cultural thing.
Did you
right?
know, so on the nutrition and protein thing, I totally hear you. I get that a lot. That's one of the most common critiques of vegans. Where are you going to get your protein at? Did you know that all plants actually have protein? And they're the complete proteins. All the protein a human body would need. Every single plant has them. Every
Right.
plant.
I believe that.
What's compelling about that, actually, is, because, I like steak. Steak's delicious, but
Sure, yeah.
but then you're just like, well, where do I get my protein from? I'm like, well, where do the cows get it?
Grass, right?
Right.
All herbivores. So gorillas, big old herbivores, 4-inch canines.
Right.
They're not depending on meat to build all that strength.
Right.
They don't have a protein problem. So when you're replacing meat, it's important to remember it only takes a small piece of meat to really make you feel full, because it's full of saturated fats. It's telling your body you're getting all these nutrients and proteins that's not actually sufficient to meet your nutritional needs. So when you replace that tiny piece of meat, you do need a larger quantity of plants, but because it's so calorically dense. But you want nutrient dense food, right? You don't want calorically dense food. That's how you get the cholesterol and leading cause of all major human health problems is the animal agriculture industry. The top 14 or 15
Not to mention
killers.
all the ridiculous amount of sugars that they put in everything.
Sure, totally. Yep, absolutely. So yeah. And then going back to your comment about the taste of meat, you know what? No one goes vegan because they stop liking the taste of meat. That's it. No one is like wakes up one day and eats a burger and goes, "What the heck is it? I never liked this thing." Everyone loved steak. Everyone loves bacon. We just realized that, and it's not even about the animals being cute and cuddly. It's just realizing that a sentient individual isn't worth less than my taste buds alone. These are the same sensory pleasure arguments as far as a justification for raping and killing someone, the dairy and meat industries. That's what cannibals and sociopathic, serial rapists say. They say, well, I feel good to rape, so shouldn't I be able to just do it?
It's an extreme comparison to make, though, and you might lose people like me.
Well, that's just a fact. That's not my belief. That's just a fact.
No.
So we rape cows in the dairy industry, right? We force ourselves upon them to produce babies, to slit their throat so we can drink that baby's milk. We do it every 9 months. The cows don't give us their consent. They're sentient individuals that can feel pain and suffer. So what justifies subjecting someone to oppression? Just taste buds?
Probably not.
Right.
But-
So that's what
but see,
vegans feel, and that's it. It's no big deal.
You collected your argument into a question at the end, and that's where you might lose people like me. Because it's sort of, I'm a lawyer and I understand leading questions and arguments, right? Where I'm telling you, and so I kind of know when you're making one, I'm like, well, you don't have to do that for a guy like me. You don't have to make that argument to a guy like me about rape or whatnot. You might have to make it elsewhere and it might be useful. But to me, it's really much more of a practical thing. Like, it is, to a large extent, being vegan is sort of a wealthy white person option.
Is it? Do you know that the cheapest foods are plants? The most impoverished people eat more plants in their diet.
I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the rice staples of Asia or whatever the staple plant-based products are to feed the masses of people.
Oh, okay.
That's not at all what I'm talking
Well, that's veganism, though. Plant-based diet is vegan.
Sure, but
Right.
you know, you can pick a country and there's a lot of fishing that also goes with the plant-based diet. There's other ways of getting protein. The concern I have is like in the United States, it's like the poorest people are the fattest, and they drive the biggest cars, and they live in neighborhoods full of liquor stores.
Right.
But they don't have good grocery stores, right?
Sure.
And so to me, like, a vegan is almost is kind of like, well, you have to be wealthy enough to have that option here.
Again, it's not about wealth, so you're using an argument
Kinda
that's not based in facts.
Kinda is.
If you go to any store, the cheapest products are going to be the plant products. They're not going to be the meat, dairy, and eggs. Think about the resources it takes to harvest the life of a sentient individual. Water, food.
With us. Maybe in a nice neighborhood,
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the best argument for veganism is probably in the environmental factor.
Okay.
That's probably the best because
Right.
the beef industry pollutes so much.
It does, yeah. I got a lot of information on that,
So I
definitely.
think that's probably that's probably.
Yeah, but here's a pretty
good
compelling point that someone raised with me, right? Like, so let's say you're going to build you're going to grow a soybean field.
Yeah, well, soy
Right.
takes a lot too. But
Right, let's say you're just going to do that because you want to make tofu instead of whatever.
Right.
And so you clear out 1,000 acres to do that.
Yeah.
What happened to all those animals, like the field
totally.
mice, the
Yeah.
raccoons that live there?
Yeah, the
bird
whole
population?
ecosystem, it comes crumbling down.
Comes
You're right.
crumbling down. So it's
Yeah.
like there's nuanced stuff here.
But
That's
do you
all
know,
mine.
that's a good point, and I'm
I
glad
can
you said
afford
that.
to be vegan.
Okay, again, it's not about affordability. The most poor people are eating what they can afford, which is stuff that grows out of the ground. They don't have the time and resources or money to harvest the sentient life of an individual. It costs more to do that, so it's factually cheaper to go vegan. But let me address your point about the soy.
I don't think that's true at all.
Feel free to look into the info. Again, I'm
differ
not
with
trying
the
to push
premise.
opinions or beliefs here. I'm just here to share the truth with folks. That's why I brought the info. But to go back to the soy thing, most soy is grown to feed the livestock. So even if you're worried about species extinction being caused by crop production, you should still be vegan because most crops are grown to feed the livestock. 50% of the world's land mass is currently used to raise or grow crops to feed the livestock. Another 30% goes to just the livestock space. So vegans have a fraction of the land mass that is required to produce the food we need. We actually currently produce enough crops to feed all of the starving people of the world 3 times over. 3 times over, but we waste it away on animals that eat 6 to 12 times what we would eat. So yeah, if you're worried about, species extinction, the leading cause of that, and biodiversity and deforestation and ocean dead zones and desertification, the leading cause of all of those is the animal agriculture industry. Another great reason to go vegan.
Correct.
But let me address his point about how I should be saying that climate change is the reason to go vegan. That's actually
I want to take a picture of this. So don't.
go ahead,
Take
go ahead.
one without your permission.
I'm flattered.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm just saying that's a good point.
oh, it's totally good, which is why I like to
saying
help
that it's-
people.
Because I've known people that have gone vegan solely because of climate change.
Of what?
Climate change.
Oh, sure, right.
When I was in high school, I had a teacher who went vegan for me.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's good to hear. Right on. But what we do is, and I like educating people on about that and some of the intersectionality of, veganism. But veganism, by definition, means reducing the cruelty against animals in your life as much as is practicable and possible. So nothing extreme, nothing radical, nothing crazy, just as much as practicable
Not
for
like,
you.
Animals have the right to drive cars. Right?
Exactly. They're not equal to us, right? They're not exactly the same. A dog isn't equal to a cow, isn't equal to a pig or a bird or a human. We're all different
I think
species.
that's like a straw man argument that gets used a lot, and I think that actually doesn't work in favor of veganism.
Let me ask you this.
If vegans look like nuts.
Okay, if beating your wife or your girlfriend resulted in climate change, or if being a racist resulted in climate change, would you then stop, I'm gonna stop beating my wife, or I'm gonna stop being racist and lynching black people because it's causing climate change and that affects me personally? Do you see how that perpetuates an oppressive, human supremacist point of view that sets you above all others and it leaves the victim being unrecognized? So when we say let's fight animal agriculture for climate change, we're ignoring the fact that they don't deserve to be victimized, period. If we can eat plants to be happy, we have no justification. Doesn't matter if you see them as equal or cute or cuddly, they feel pain.
That's not an argument. That's a speech.
That's a fact. Those are all facts I just said. Again,
That's an
look up.
opinion. It's an opinion.
It's a speech of facts, right? So no, I have the information here. Again, I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to think critically. I want you guys to start thinking for yourselves. Right, right.
What I do.
It sounds like you are saying a lot of things that are not consistent, though, with science. And the overwhelming scientific community is very clear on the data here. Feel free to take any of it.
Well, I don't care so much about me, the person. I've had a good run, 56 years. I could decide to change or not change for my own personal. I have the practical concerns about getting enough protein or whatever is really something that I can afford to deal with by picking and choosing and finding the right grocery stores because I worked hard, I can afford all that. But I'm looking at it more from a public policy standpoint. Like, it's very hard to take a big chunk of our population under the poverty line and feed them unless you have, and to be also committed to a vegan approach to their food without sort of a fundamental overhaul in how we do distribution, the supply chain, and a number of other things.
I already explained we have enough crops to feed the world. We're currently producing more than 3 times, 3 times more than what we need to feed all the people of the world.
But here's the great point, right? Here's where I raise it practically. So if you look at Iowa, right, who's #1, the first state in our election.
Yeah, I want to go sit there.
Yeah, go sit.
Hey, there's a chair here too. Feel free to take a seat if you
So
want.
if you look at Iowa, right, this is what I think's a problem. Right? I don't like the fact that there could be some compelling reasons why Iowa's the first presidential primary, but here's the thing: there's so much bribery that goes on with the form of government farm subsidies.
You're right.
To Iowa farmers to grow far more corn than we could ever need to eat, but instead it needs to be converted to high fructose corn syrup so that people get addicted to that kind of shit, right? And the fundamental problem is, well, there's a government subsidy that protects the farmers from free market, right? I think your movement, veganism, is getting more and more common, and you're starting to vote with your dollars, right?
Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, not about policy. It's about individuals taking responsibility for their own actions.
And so what I like that. That's why I've never had a problem with vegan, right? I was like, okay, well, if you can choose to do that, you can afford to do that, you can make that choice,
Again, it's affordable for everyone, so.
See, that I'm not sure about.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's okay. I didn't know that too. For 27 years.
I came from a public policy background, so I worked for the governor, not this current governor. I worked in Washington D.C. for a while. And so I always look at things macro. For me, I'm like, I don't give a shit, like, if you're a vegan, or I'll listen to it and I'll go, yeah, you know what, maybe I should be less, meat specific, and I could be open to it and be fine, right? But when you start getting into the sort of the large corporate farming kind of argument, the Food Inc. sort of argument, and I'm sympathetic, but I'm like, okay, well, here's what we need to do. We really kind of need to, the solution is more capitalism, not less. And by that I mean, when you're paying billions and billions of dollars to Iowa farmers to grow shit they don't need to grow to subsidize the sugar industry because you want to keep them in your favor in case you're running for president.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
I fucking hate that. And that is a much bigger problem than whether us little folks are making small choices. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather kind of like, well, how about we eliminate farm subsidies and then they have to answer to the marketplace. Boom! And then, oh wow, there's no market demand for meat anymore because people don't want to have shit with hormones in it and their kids come out with 2 heads.
Right.
Fuck. Great.
Yeah, we've been waiting around for hundreds, in some cases, thousands of years to get those in power to actually reflect the will of the people. Yeah, so this veganism is not about waiting for a corrupt government to make the world a better place. It's about simply doing it ourselves.
Making small choices.
Right. Hey, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Hey, take a card. Feel free. Google any of that stuff if it piques your interest.
No, I will.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Because my law partner, who's like my work spouse, she's a committed vegan. She's been her whole life.
Oh, good for her.
And we've had a lot of conversations about it. She's moved me a little bit in her direction.
There you go. Yeah.
It's fine.
It just takes tapping into that compassion and that empathy. That's all it is. You're realizing that your taste buds aren't worth more than an individual.
They really aren't.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, I just need a source of protein.
Yeah. Beans, greens, lentils, fruit.
Hummus.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate the feedback.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Have you heard of There's this guy on YouTube called John Sockars.
I haven't heard of him.
Okay, he's like, so this guy, how do I explain it? He's like, see, I don't want to be the guy who's like, haha, look at the crazy vegan. I think that's sort
Hey
of
man, you know a secret? There's crazy extremists in every facet of systems of belief and thought. Yeah.
True.
100%,
Yeah.
100%, right? But John Sockars, right? He's like, he's a vegan, but he's like, I don't know how to explain it. His stuff on YouTube is so weird. I just want to know a vegan's take on it, right?
If they what?
His stuff on YouTube is so weird. I just want to know a vegan's take on it, right?
Oh, their take on it?
Yeah, because he'll do like vegan YouTube videos, but he's kind of like.
Are you Action Jackson?
Yeah.
That's bitch. This is cool shit.
Hey, thanks. I
Put your
appreciate
stuff
it.
on YouTube?
Yeah.
Good, because there's a conservative guy who does it louder.
What?
His name's Louder.
Oh, Crowder? You're talking about Steven Crowder? Oh, yeah. You know, I've never even watched him, but everyone comes and tells me, you're just like that, Steven Crowder. I don't know who
He's
that
worth
is.
listening to. He's interesting.
But anyway, so John Sockars, I don't know how to explain him. He makes the weirdest stuff like on YouTube and ties it into veganism. He'll make like these weirdly sexual vegan music videos. Or he'll do like these skits or whatever. I don't know, but he's worth checking out because his stuff is wildly entertaining. And I've never heard a vegan's take on it, and I want to know what a vegan would think of it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds interesting. I've seen some interesting vegan YouTubers in the day, not all of which I agree with, and not all of which kind of carry the vegan message. Vegan is, I mean, he's right on a lot of stuff, and he gets
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, he gets angry pretty easily. But imagine if you were facing a modern day Holocaust. Again, 3 trillion animal lives are lost every year just for our taste buds. So what we're looking at is factually, just based on lives lost alone, the largest Holocaust in the history of the planet. And we are the reasons. We are the Nazis in that case. So I understand why people like Vegan Gains get mad, because they can't speak up for themselves. No one's listening to them.
I say Vegan Gains is nuts, not because he's mad about animals, but he's more like, he says nut stuff about more than just the animals.
He's pretty kooky. He does those little skits and stuff too. You know, I haven't been an avid Vegan Gains watcher, but there's been times when I've clicked on one of his videos and I've been well informed about the science of something.
But he's literally made videos like threatening to kill people. He is.
I'll tell you what though, threatening to kill someone isn't as bad as actually killing someone and raping them. So we got to keep it in perspective. Make sure you're keeping the victim's point of view.
Right when a human does it.
Right. Yeah.
And a Holocaust is a misuse of an important metaphor.
No, it's not a metaphor. It's just a term that actually describes what's happening right now. This is the modern day Holocaust. This is the Holocaust of animals.
Yeah.
3 trillion lives a year. That's more than all the humans combined in every war in history. So we got to keep things in perspective. As the oppressors, we got to make sure we actually understand the logic here.
Okay.
And the facts, yeah.
I'm not sure about that comparison. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
Right on, guys. I do appreciate your time.
All right.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing your opinion.
Absolutely, no problem.
Regardless of whether we believe or not.
I know. I don't want to believe this stuff. Trust me, man. When I came across this information, it was hard for me to get through. But the facts are, I just understand it as merely our factual reality. Peace.